All right, let's get into it. You guys know what you're here for. 4.5 stars. This book is amazing. Now, let me tell you why. This book is amazing because, one, there's so much going on in this book, but Robin Hobb does an amazing job at weaving all the different storylines that we have together so that it's not really confusing, but more so they mesh together in a way. And the theme of the book really helps her, carry this like through line of the story as well, of all the different plot lines that are going on in the story. And I think the theme of freedom is one that all of our characters, or most of our characters in the story, are going through, from like Winthrow, Althea, Vivacia. So freedom, agency, what does it mean to be free? All this stuff is really showed through the eyes of our characters, Winthrow, Althea, and Vivacia, right? Winthrow, he doesn't want to be on the ship. He just wants to be back in his monastery, learning to be a priest. Althea, mainly she wants to be free of the shackles of society. She wants to be free of the expectations of just the gender norms of what people expect her to do as well. And to her, being on the Vivacia will allow her be on the Vivacia, and being the captain of the Vivacia will allow her the freedom that she's trying to attain. And I think the Vivacia, though she's not a main POV character, the Vivacia is kind of embodies that sense of what it means to be free. Can I make my own decisions for me? Because she's brought into this world by the Vestris family when she quickens after Ephron, the father, dies on the ship. And the Vestris family decides that the Vivacia is going to trade so that they can, still have some kind of income after Ephron dies. But the Vivacia doesn't really seem, as she's coming into the world, she doesn't really seem if she knows that she has a choice to trade or not. And then when the whole thing with Kyle and him getting the slaves from how do you say this? Anyways, when the whole thing goes down with Kyle and him getting the slaves from the Jamamelia, the city where he gets the slaves from. And the Vivacia is really not about carrying the slaves. She doesn't want to carry the slaves. We see that inkling of, or we see that theme again of, is this person actually free? And what is freedom for these characters? And then, obviously bringing the slaves on the ship is just another way that Robin Hobb is able to show or able to emphasize the theme of freedom and agency in this book. I think seeing those three characters and witnessing their struggle and their fight for agency really pulled me in and drew me into the book, because I was interested in seeing, what these characters were going to do to get their agency. And I also thought between these three characters, Althea, Winthrow, Vivacia, I thought it was also interesting because they all seem to come from where the book starts. They seem to come from a place of nativity, right? They are really not that familiar with the world. Vivacia just, actually waking up into this world. Winthrow leaving his monastery after being sent there from a young age, and now he's thrust into this world of being a seaman. Oh, and then Althea, in the beginning of the book, Althea came off a little bratty to me. A little bratty, a little entitled, and it's not like she was wrong. I think it was just the way that she came at things gave off that impression of her being entitled. And so her getting the wake-up call of, the ship isn't yours and it's not your decision who captains the ship. It's the family's decision, right? And so that wake-up call thrusts Althea into the world, and her, coming to this realization of she has to fend for herself, basically, if she wants to be able to move forward in the world in the way that she wants to. All that was great. Okay, the pros, Chef Kiss, those characters, those three characters, amazing. Um, Highlight characters, I really like the mom, Ronica Vestris. I really like her. I think she is the person who, she's like the old wise, not old, but she's like the elder wise person that is really knowledgeable about things and is trying to nudge people in the right direction, like her daughter Kefria, her seeing how Kefria is just, ready to succumb to whatever Kyle says, and then her trying to nudge her daughter into a more active instead of a passive role in their household. I think, yeah, I loved Veronica. I loved her interactions with David Divide. I think was also really interesting. Her realizing that like nobody in town likes this guy, but we've been through so much together. It's so hard to, sever this person from your life that you've been through a literal plague with, and mourned family members that you both lost. And even though it's hard for her to cut ties with him, she's also able to. I just think it's an interesting character choice and a character choice that I liked. Her, sticking by him even though the whole Bing Town is like, we don't fuck with that guy. I like that part, okay? Yeah, Kefria, highlight character. Kyle, I don't know what to say about Kyle. In my spoiler-free video, I mentioned that I thought the motivations for the villains were really... I thought the villains antagonists in this book were really interesting. I guess Kyle's serving as the antagonist for this book. But to me, Kyle is more of an antagonist, specifically to Althea, Winthrow, and Vivacia, like more directly. And then like Kenneth. I think Kenneth is, taking the role of the end all villain, quote unquote. But I mentioned that I really liked the way that the characters were, the antagonists in the Ship of Magic. I really liked the way that they were written, because not only were their motivations done really well, specifically with Kyle. I think Kyle is coming from the stance like he wants to be there. He wants to be the provider, the man for this family, right? And so doing that, he's decided that he's going to make the hard decisions that nobody else can make. In a way, that makes sense, because these characters that are like Kyle, they want to be the ones to be in control of things and be right and fix the problem that people are facing. The only thing is, they don't ask anybody. They don't care about others' input. They think that their way is right and everybody else's way is wrong. And so, looking at a character like Kyle in this book, I felt like Kyle was an actual person that is just being a douche and getting in everybody's way. He's just stinking up the whole place. Nobody really wants you around except for your wife and your daughter. And then everybody else is just like, oh, brother, this guy stinks! And so I really like that about him, because while I understood where he was coming from, I did not care for him one bit. And Robin Hobb didn't even try to make an attempt at, him trying to come to this understanding with Winthrow. And I'm glad she didn't, because I would not have gone for it if he did. Two more characters or character-esque things real quick. Kenneth. Everybody likes Kenneth for some reason. And it is blowing my mind why they do, because I don't understand why they do. I understand why they do, but it's just blowing my mind that everybody is like drinking the Kenneth juice. Pause. Everybody is on the Kenneth train. It's blowing my mind. They will go to town for this guy. In the beginning, when I saw Kenneth, I was obviously like, this guy is a dick, right? Especially for what he was doing to the others on the island. But then he obviously makes sense for some of the things that he's saying about the Pirate Isles and everything. He obviously has plans that he wants to put in place to actually make this land, this quote unquote city, town, or country, into like a actual force. He just goes about it the wrong way. But then for some reason, or not that he goes about it the wrong way. The thing that irks me about him is the way that he talks about people internally, or just like the thoughts that he has about people, and just like his non-caring attitude to people who will lay down their life for him. He doesn't care. And so I don't care for him. If he doesn't care, he like doesn't care about his first mate. He just cares that people are following his orders, and that's it. The serpents. What the fuck is going on there? Because I have no idea what the serpents are doing. So obviously I love this book. So then the question is, why is it 4.5 and not 5 out of 5? Because this could be a 5 out of 5 book. The reason it's a 4.5 mainly is the overall vibe of the book and the overall just like my final thoughts after I finish the book. This book, even though it's an amazing book, I think it's setting up a lot of stuff for the next 2 books in the series. So I think there's a lot of impact that was saved in this book to be used in the Mad Ship and Ship of Destiny. While there was a lot of shit, a lot of impactful things that happened to these characters and that happened in this book, I think this book was saving a lot of that stuff for book 2 and book 3 in the Light Ship Traders trilogy. And so even though this might be a 4.5, this could easily be a 5-star. I'm definitely sure the next 2 books are going to blow me out of the water. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see my next video on the Light Ship Traders, make sure you subscribe so you can see when that video gets dropped. It'll probably be in a few weeks. We'll see. In the meanwhile, if you want to see some of my other stuff, check out my other videos on my channel, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.